Good afternoon, everybody. It's time for the show. Welcome. I'm Mary Grace. This is Wednesday, the 16th of February, 2022, and this is another episode of Real Talk with Mary Grace. As you're coming in, please say hello. We are live on a couple of different platforms: Clout Hub Channel 111, YouTube, Mary Grace Media, Facebook, Mary Grace Media, and also on Twitter, Real Mary Grace 1, and soon to be on Truth Social. And I want to welcome everybody today. Hello, hello, hello. As you're watching, if you have not already followed me on those channels, please do. And also remember to tag people and share into groups. That is your homework. So don't just like the show, follow the channel, especially the alternative channels, Clout Hub. Go follow my Rumble channel, Mary Grace Media, and follow me on Telegram. That is Mary Grace Media Official. I'll show you that right now. That is important because, as you know, the socialist media overlords are getting big mad at the fact that we're getting truth out. And it's not a question of like if they're going to delete us. It's probably a question of when, especially when we get over to Truth Social. You probably have noticed if you're on Twitter that the bots and the paid troll farms and the people that generally make a habit of just being nasty and mean are out in full force these days. And with that being said, I want to caution you guys on Telegram right now to be very aware, be very wary of channels that are popping up having to do with the trucker convoys. It's very important that you don't get sucked in to channels that are popping up. It's very difficult to tell on Telegram because there are very, very few verified accounts on Telegram, and that is unfortunate that they allow that. Telegram is a good platform, but it is really overrun with fake accounts and bots, especially having to do with causes and famous people. If you've noticed, if you're on Telegram, you probably noticed when a name comes up in the news, especially somebody that gets canceled or deleted off of another platform, all of a sudden there are multiple rooms on Telegram that pop up purporting to be that person or that entity. So it wouldn't surprise me, for example, if a room claiming to have ties to Give, Send, Go pops up because they have been in the news for standing with the truckers. Same thing with the convoys. Just be very, very careful. I'm in touch with people who are, who know the convoys, who are aware of where these convoys are originating. And so, if you have any doubt, it's okay to share a link in our Telegram chat and say, hey, does anybody know if this is a real convoy group? Things like that. Just be very wary of that because these are scammers. All right. The other thing I want you to be very extremely wary of is groups or accounts that are claiming to be able to provide a certain type uh, of paperwork that shows that you have completed a process that you're required to complete to function in society. I am being intentionally vague about this. If you are invited, or if somebody shares with you, or if you see a post on a Telegram chat telling you that you can get that paperwork, that ID, and that they can help you, it is very likely that it is not just a scam, but probably a Fed trying to trap you into taking part in an illegal activity. Be extremely mindful of that. I know that you guys are smart. I know that. I have a very informed and smart audience. However, it's easy to get pulled into these things. And so I want you to have heightened awareness. And I also want you to share this information with other people. This is a big deal right now, especially with people trying to cross borders and who have authentic reasons and compelling reasons for wanting to move about freely. We see what's going on in Canada. There's just outright and utter tyranny up there. And a lot of people are probably wanting to take a vacation. Um, just keep in mind that scammers and feds are going to capitalize on the desires and emotions that are going around this situation right now. I think that's clear. I think I'm making myself pretty clear. I really want to emphasize this because when emotions are running high, it's very easy for people to fall prey to things that they might not normally be fooled by. All right. And the enemy knows this. Our enemies know that it's easier to pull people into a scam when they're emotionally vulnerable. Okay. And so hopefully that information will help somebody. I know that we're in pretty perilous times right now, and so there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of really good things happening. It's also a time where um, unsavory characters will take advantage of people who are running high on emotion. So just be aware of that. And especially Millie is pointing out that certain three-letter agencies are using these convoys as an excuse to infiltrate and to instigate. I want to make it very clear that the convoy movement is a movement of peace. Anybody that is in a group, physically or virtually, that is encouraging violence, whether it is to infiltrate, to storm a building, to perpetrate violence on a community, any of that, if you hear or see of any of that, walk away, call them out on it and say, absolutely not. You do not belong here. We do not embrace the culture of violence that you are encouraging right now. We're not storming buildings. We're not vandalizing. We're not doing any of the things that you are urging people to do. And we've seen in a couple of these protests, we've seen participants calling out people who are acting this way and really publicly shaming them, which has to happen. So if you suspect that somebody around you is a plant or a Fed, whether it's Antifa, the Feds, sometimes I think they're working hand in hand. um, don't be afraid to call it out and say, no, 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 no. We've got an infiltrator here, everybody. This person is not working in our best interest. So I'm not discouraging people from attending these rallies and from showing up to cheer on the convoys because they're going to be driving across the country. Absolutely do that. There are actually groups forming to where people can make non-monetary donations of goods, and even I think maybe some services that will help them. For example, even food and supplies that will help them as they're traveling across the country. And I imagine that each community is going to have groups that are rallying to do that. And because obviously not everybody can participate in a weeks long convoy that goes across the country, but people can show up at rallying points and take part and cheer on the truckers. So that is something that we are encouraged to do. I just want to make it very clear that as the excitement builds, there are going to be opportunists who are trying to infiltrate, who will infiltrate. They're not trying, they will. And they're doing it online and in person. So I hope I've made myself clear on that. I really want people to have fun and embrace the excitement of what's happening, because it's a truly beautiful movement. I don't want people to get hurt and to fall victim to the scams that just naturally crop up during any of these types of events. And we certainly do not want anybody to end up like the January 6th prisoners who are being held unconstitutionally without being charged, just in violation of all kinds of human rights. I mean, it's a blatant human rights abuse. I don't know where Amnesty International is on this, but that's another topic. We don't want that to happen to any of our people. Okay. So just be aware of that. Now, the title of my show today is very interesting. It is "Thank You, Justine." Okay, and so some of you may be thinking, Canada has fallen, and that what we saw recently with this display of tyranny and outright totalitarianism by Justine up in Canada is a really bad thing. Well, it is a bad thing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because he invoked the Emergency Powers Act, which the last time it was invoked was in the 80s by his father, Pierre Trudeau, or his, I would say probably his father in name, because it's pretty clear that Justine is baby Castro. Okay, but um, mentality, genes, it all comes together to create a perfect storm known as Justine. And that is just, that person is a controlled puppet who is standing up there trying to enact totalitarianism. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that the people the people see right through it. They see what's happening. And I was listening to the press conference that was aired the other night on Steel Truth. And you might want to tune into their channel, because they've been getting some very good commentary from the ground. They have a reporter up there who is going to the press conferences that are being held by the truckers, and they're getting some good footage, some good commentary. So I encourage you to go over to steeltruth.com and check out some of their reports that they're getting. Now, the interesting thing to me that stood out about this is, A, that it showed the true colors of the Canadian media, which I think is actually worse than American media, meaning the mainstream, because most of them are almost fully, completely funded by the government. And so they're just the mouthpieces of Justine's government, which is not a good thing. And the questions that they were asking were just ridiculous. They were meant to incite, um, uh, they were meant to malign and incite anger against the truckers, and they were called out on that. But the interesting thing is that this reporter that was up there reporting for Steel Truth, he was going around the room and introducing us to some of the people who are leaders in the movement up there. And there were a couple of things that stood out to me. One is that he was talking to a woman from Western Canada who was just sharing some of the experiences of what they're encountering in the city of Ottawa with the citizens of Ottawa. And listen, I said that like a Canadian, Ottawa. One of the things that she said was that the citizens of that city have actually signed sworn affidavits in favor of the truckers. And a sworn affidavit, as you may recall from the election debacle, is an affidavit. It's a statement that's signed under oath, and a person who signs an affidavit uh, is swearing legally, and everything that they're saying has to hold up legally in a court of law. And these Canadians have been signing these affidavits in support of the truckers and stating their observations. So it's almost like an amicus brief that they're signing in support of the truckers and of how good they've been for the community. It's very interesting. And so that's happening. And and so they're signing these affidavits, and they're actually in favor of the truckers staying, because what they're saying is that the crime rates have gone down in the city since the truckers have been there. The city is cleaner than they've ever seen it, and they're helping the homeless, and they're just making it an overall better place to be. Now they've come up with some agreements with the city, so that they're being, part of the solution rather than creating a problem. So if you notice when you're listening lately, the honking has stopped. Because the truth is, it's the capital city and they have every right to be there, but it's also people's homes. And so they're trying to find a balance where they're not creating a nuisance. And so I think that it's very interesting to see this. This woman reported that she was out walking around, and there was a 70-year-old lady who approached her from the city, who said, who was really worried because two of the trucks on her block had left, and she was worried that all of the truckers were leaving. And so she asked this lady that was being interviewed on Steel Truth about that. And so the residents, the locals who have taken the time to get down to the city have actually embraced the truckers. Okay. And that's pretty amazing. Now, the other thing that is really, really cool is that there was a pastor that they were talking to, and he said revival is here. Revival is happening. And guys, this is so exciting because this is what the prophets have been talking about for quite some time. And this pastor said, people are praying, people are coming together, people are finding God. Everything is changing. The people are coming together in unity. And when I heard him say that, it just gave me, like chills, Holy Spirit chills. And because if you've been listening to Elijah Streams and you've listened to the prophet Barry Wunsch, he's called the Canadian Hammer. He has a Telegram room, the Canadian Hammer. Um, he has been talking about this. And one of the things that he's seen and talked about is the breaker anointing. And this is something that other prophets have talked about as well. Interestingly, right? Breaker, 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 breaker. That's what the truckers use on their CB radios. And so it's very interesting how God has used the prophets um, to lay the groundwork and to reveal and to encourage the people about what's coming. For example, Bob Jones talked about the honkers will make way for the eagles. And then we've had prophets talk about the breaker anointing. And I think this is really interesting because what we've seen happen with the Canadian truckers is that there has been a breaking. There's been a breaking free. And the best way that I can describe it is this. So I've been watching this show with my dad. It's called Highway Through Hell, and it's about the big heavy wreckers that pull tractor trailers out of wrecks. And it takes place in Canada. So BC, Alberta, that area. And one of the things that happens, I mean, so these tractor trailers, they go over cliffs, they go into rivers, they get in situations that look like nobody could actually get them out. I mean, it looks impossible. Like there's no way a regular wrecker is going to do that. But these big heavy wreckers have, in some cases, it's like they go in scale. So the little ones are like a 10-ton wrecker, 30-ton, 50-ton, etc. That gives you an idea of the kind of, I guess, torque that they can exert on a wreck in order to extract it from wherever it is. Well, one of the things that often happens is that these trucks they go over, the side of the road. It's astonishing to me how few of these roads actually have guardrails, but they go off the side of the road and they're like 70 feet down in the forest. And some of them are logging trucks, and they still have logs on them. And it's quite a job. I mean, some of these recovery jobs will take all day, some of them take 2 days. But one of the common things that I've noticed with this show is that once the wreckers, sometimes they have multiple wreckers staged to pull from different angles, so they hook up to strong points on the trucks and trailers, and then they start pulling. And what you hear in the beginning is you hear the groaning and straining of the cables trying to get this truck moving, because you've got, like, in some cases, like 100,000 pounds of dead weight, just inertia. And then the trucks are sort of like enveloped in trees. Sometimes there's like a boulder in the way, and so they start pulling. And when they start to pull, you hear the groaning and the straining, and it's like there's like all these gears grinding. And then in just about every case, you'll hear a crack, like a break. It's like pop, and all of a sudden, like, you think that the whole thing's going to fall. But what's really happened is that the hold of inertia has broken. It's like boom, break. And that is what we're seeing. We're seeing the inertia that came over the people, the hold, the spell, the hypnosis. We're seeing a break. That's what's happening. These truckers activated and started moving, and they initiated the break. They activated the breaker anointing. And in the spirit realm, I believe that this is what has the enemy so agitated, because it's moving in the opposite spirit of what Justine and his handlers are wanting. They're wanting the truckers to be violent. They're wanting the truckers to do the things and to act in the way that they act. But what's happening in reality is that this is a movement of love. This is a movement of service. This is a movement of kindness. And, going back to the analogy of these trucks, of the heavy rescue, when you look at these wrecks and you're watching this show, you see these tractor trailers like at the bottom of a ravine. And my first thought is, take the L, burn the thing up, break it into pieces and haul it up piece by piece. Because there's no way that they're pulling that thing up here. I mean, it looks hopeless when you see these wrecks. I mean, some of them, they're just mangled. The trailer is twisted. The tractor is like the axles are broken. The wheels are all turned. And it's amazing. Like, you think that there's no hope. Has anybody watched that show? I encourage you to watch it. It's just, when you look at these wrecks, you just think this is over. There's no salvaging this truck, this trailer. And, I think that is what we've been witnessing for the past 2 years. I mean, how many of you have looked at what's going on and thought, this is over. We're done. There's no way out of this. And yet, just like with these heavy rescue wreckers, they climb down there, they find the strong points, they put these harnesses on, they get these block and tackles. I mean, the hardware itself weighs like 100 pounds. Okay. So when I say heavy rescue, I mean, it's hard work. It's hard work. And yet they break these wrecks free from these impossible situations. And this is what's happening, you guys. This is what happenings that the breaker anointing has has cut loose the hold spiritually that these totalitarians have had over the people. I can't stress this enough. Now, are there bad things happening? Or are the totalitarians doubling down? Yeah, they are. But I want you to understand that the resolve of the truckers, the resolve of the freedom fighters is not shaken. That is the key here. That's what I want you to understand. If you're looking at the details of the bad things that Justine and his handlers are doing, you're still going to think this is an impossible situation. But I'm here to tell you that God is moving in a way that is bigger than what these tyrants are doing in the natural. This is what I want you to understand. The breaker anointing has been released, it's been unleashed by these truckers. And I really want to emphasize that to you. And it's just amazing to me because when you see these videos coming out of the streets of Ottawa, there are people who are, people who are thanking Justin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've brought us together. You've brought the people together. And that is exactly the opposite of what was intended, right? Stay in your house. Don't talk to anybody. Stay 6 feet away. Wear a mask. Don't see anybody's face. Don't smile. Don't touch. Don't hug. All of that. Um, Eat junk food. Order in. Keep yourself from getting sick. I mean, you look at these people out in the streets of Ottawa, and they're wrapped up like little Eskimos, and they've got hats and scarves and everything on, but they're not covering their faces. They don't have the face diaper. They are smiling and happy, and they're not going anywhere. And I was watching a video the other day, and there was a man sitting in his truck. He was from Quebec, and the live streamer was talking to him, and he said, "What this was right after Justine said that he was going to enact the emergency powers." So this guy was walking around, and he said, "Nothing has really changed. Everybody's still here." And so he asked the guy, like, "What is your plan? Are you going to leave?" And the guy goes, "No, I'm here." And he points to the front of his truck. And on the ground in front of his truck, there was a mailbox. The guy had planted a mailbox. And that was his way of saying, "This is where I am. I'm not going anywhere until this gets resolved and our demands are met." I think that's just amazing. Okay. And so I want you to be encouraged. Just like when the Israelites were being brought into the promised land, the 12 spies went in. 10 of the spies saw the horrible things that might happen to them. But Joshua and Caleb came out and said, "This is a land flowing with milk and honey. The grapes are bigger than like cantaloupes, basically, and it's and it's ours for the taking." So this is so important. I want you to understand this. I want you to see what it is that God is doing. That this is not just a Canadian situation. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and it was the Canadians who gave the courage to do this. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, those of you who are praying for healing, I had a cold in January, and ever since then, I have this ridiculous like frog in my throat that happens all day long. I have tried everything. I'm taking nasal sprays, I'm taking quercetin, I'm trying to clear this out. I haven't had these issues since years ago when I used to have major sinus and allergy issues, and I need prayer for this because I'm done. It's happening to me every day, all day long. It's usually okay in the mornings, but when I start talking, when I eat anything, like anti-inflammatory foods, whatever, it's really becoming a nuisance at this point. I'm not sick. I don't have any like other issues like that. It's just this constant, like, you can hear it. You can hear what I'm doing. Like, I'm having to cough, okay? So that's just an aside because it's really annoying me and I hate coughing through a broadcast. All right. Now, so what I just want to emphasize here is that everything that the enemy has meant for evil, God is turning around for good. But he's doing this, um, he's doing it with people that are taking action. Just like when the Israelites were ready to cross the Jordan, the very first thing God said is, well, you need to get someone from each tribe um, to walk into the river and put their feet in the river. When their feet touch the water, that's when I will. Um, that's when I will act. That's when the water will move, and so that's important to understand. That's so important that 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 you understand that the truckers got in their trucks and they started moving. Okay, they took action and they stayed. They didn't get scared. They've put everything on the line. I mean, they know at this point that this is a zero sum game, that they're either getting arrested. I mean, the threat of taking their bank accounts, like, they've already been identified. They know that Justine and his handlers are their arch enemies. I mean, they've put everything on the line, is what I'm saying. Okay, um, so um, so so the main thing is that they've put everything on the line, that they've taken the step and they haven't backed down. Okay, now there's somebody who said something about Justine earlier. I made reference. I just want to get back to this comment. Okay. Um, and then just a correction, it was the priest who stepped into the water. I was going to say that, and then I couldn't remember if it was the representatives of the tribes. But so I mentioned that Justine is baby Castro. That was not an analogy. There are many reports out there and actually photographs that that make a pretty compelling case that he is actually the blood relative of that man. When you see the photos side by side, it's pretty hard to ignore. So that was not an analogy. That was actually um, a label. It's not just a comparison. He literally, um, and Tucker even brought it up the other night. There's a very compelling case to be made that that his mother had an affair with Fidel Castro. So just to clarify that, that wasn't just me being ironic. All right. So yeah, so I just want to encourage you that the truckers took action. They took action, and they they took action, and they haven't stopped. They haven't backed down. So that's the key of what I want you guys to understand. All right, that it wasn't just a token rally that they did over one day. They've literally taken up residence in the capital until they can get resolution. So they're all in. Like, that's it. There's no turning back for these truckers. And what they're doing, in my opinion, is the equivalent of what George Washington and the Continental Army did in Valley Forge, and in crossing the Delaware, and winning the Revolution, because it was all or nothing. they would have been hanged as traitors had they lost. Okay. Um, so I want to read you this quote from a journal that was written by a doctor who was embedded with the army, with George Washington's army at Valley Forge. This is what he says. He says, people who live at home in luxury and ease, quietly possessing their habitations, enjoying their wives and families in peace, have but a very faint idea of the unpleasing sensations and continual anxiety the man endures who is in a camp and is the husband and parent of an agreeable family. These same people are willing we should suffer everything for their benefit and advantage, and yet are the first to condemn us for not doing more. And I wanted to read you this quote because I can't tell you how many times over the last 5 years, going on 6, I have seen comments in my chat, in every Telegram group I belong to, everywhere, uh, complaining that nothing is happening. People complain about the election. They say that they're not going to vote in 2022 because it's not fixed. How can we know it's going to be fixed? They're complaining about pretty much everything. And this is, to me, such a beautiful quote because, he says the same people who are willing that we should suffer everything for their benefit and advantage, and yet are the first to condemn us for not doing more. So the people that say, do something, fix it, nothing's happening, when are people going to be arrested, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's really critical that people understand that you've been given the keys to um, to action. You've been shown the example over and over and over again. And for example, General Flynn has said over and over that local action um, has a national impact. Okay. Um, and so I really want to emphasize this because the people who are saying nothing is happening probably haven't made a call locally to even find out when the school board meeting happens, when the board of supervisors meets, when the city council meets. They probably haven't looked up the information that I shared about the insurance policies. What's the word I'm using? I want to say warrants, but it's not warrants. The bonds, the surety bonds. Um, Basically, they're armchair quarterbacking and complaining about people who are putting themselves on the line. It does take a risk to go and show up at a city council meeting um, and talk. The people that are doing that are people that just want to be left alone, but they're done. They're over it. They're going to the school boards. They're serving these school board members with an intent to file against their bonds. That's a big deal. And, um, you know, people are making phone calls, people are sending emails. Not everybody can get out of their house. I understand that. But when you are one of the people who is complaining and demanding that something change, but you haven't lifted a finger to do that, you're in that category that is being written about in this journal. And I really want to emphasize this because I talked about it the other day. And, there is something that happens in the military, when morale is down or when the going gets rough, the very last thing that is tolerated is what are known as black pillars. Okay, black pills, and and so uh, what does that mean? Somebody asked the question on my YouTube the other day. They thought that I was talking about black pillars, as in columns, all right? Pillar. That's not what I'm talking about. So, for a lot of people who have been in the conservative movement, who have had their eyes open, not just conservative, but who just had their eyes open to what's going on, that's known as being red pilled. And it's a reference to the movie The Matrix. The people who are the people are basically um, owned by the state, and there are people who people have a choice of taking the red pill or the black pill, and the blue pill. The blue pill means that you just go along to get along, and that you become part of the system, right? You're basically a robot that's being programmed and used by the system. The red pill means that you actually choose to know the truth and to act on it and to take the risk of doing that. Black pill is basically what is served up as a way of bringing doom and gloom and discouragement into a situation. And so, for example, it's highly possible for a group of individuals who have been red pilled to be infiltrated by people who bring nothing but black pills. Does that make sense? And we see that a lot. We see it with something that I call concern trolls, who come into a chat, into a telegram room, into any situation, um, and and constantly sow doubt and get the people stirred up, and try to break morale, right? For some people, it's intentional. Some it's not. Some it's just habit, that they're in the habit of always seeing the bad in everything. But that is something that I really want to caution against, because maybe that's you. Maybe you're a black pillar, and you don't even know it. Maybe you're spending time around black pillars, and that is why your outlook is pretty dark. So, again, I guess today's talk is about mindset. I think that's probably where we're going with today's talk. I just realized that. But it's about mindset. It's about, where are you choosing to focus your energy and your belief, and even your conversation. I think that's really critical and important for people to understand, that uh, if you are I- I- if you're doing or participating in black pill sessions, this is your wake up call, because what's going on in Canada, what's going on in other countries, in Australia, Israel, New Zealand, places like that, the people are um, the people are waking up, and good things are happening, and God is moving. And if you're not awake to that, if you're swallowing black pills every day, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss what God is doing, because you're focused on the giants, and um and your worldview is being darkened by those black pills. So be very careful about what you listen to, what you take in. That includes entertainment media, um, uh, all of that. Okay, everything that comes into your eye gates and your ear gates. What is it that you're bringing into your mind, and what is it that you're agreeing with? And that also has to do with language, because one of the things that I think, it's very tempting when we get upset to use profanity, and it's sort of a cultural thing, and we see it a lot in movies nowadays. They don't bleep it out, but the truth is that's it's the language of hell, and it actually invites the forces of darkness into the conversation, and it opens you up even more to the black pills. It's a spiritual thing, right? And I catch myself doing it. We're all people, and we're all susceptible to that kind of thing. But this is something that God has been impressing on me lately, is just to be very careful about that, because you know it's we're getting into a place, we've been there for a while actually, where there's really no gray area. Where you're with God or you're not, you know? And if you're participating in black pill events, then you're speaking the language of hell, and you're inviting the habitants of hell, the representatives of hell into your consciousness, into your everyday life. That is the last thing we need, because we know that the people who are perpetrating these crimes against humanity are partnering with their father, the devil. We don't need to be saying and thinking things that open the door wide for them to come in. It's already coming against us because the devil wants us dead. And so, why would we open the door with our language and say, oh, hey, come on in, make yourself at home? So, I don't know who needs to hear that today, but it's a reminder to me, and it is something that God has been impressing upon me. And so I want to just put that out there, that may be something that you're dealing with. And it's not even just a question of whether you're a good person or a bad person. It's a spiritual thing. It's like putting up a big sign in the spirit realm saying, come on in, and have your way here. That's just what I want people to be aware of. Okay, the same thing if you're participating and just taking in black pills all the time, that you're inviting that spirit of death and negativity to take over your thoughts and your consciousness. Oh, hey, there's Michelle. Good to see you. Okay, so all right, let me see what else I wanted to say here. Um, oh, I want to talk about Truth Social for a minute. Speaking of language, oh my gosh, oh, Marvin said he's had COVID 2 or 3 times. The weirdest thing about this, what's happening in my throat, back of my throat, is it's not from COVID. I had a bad cold. I didn't get any of this with COVID. Didn't get any. um, yeah, it's crazy. It's really annoying. Saline rinse twice a day. Yeah, I've been doing that a lot. All right. Oh, Catherine has a good point here. When I slip up, I repent right away. That's important, right? That we confess and repent. Um, exactly. All right. Myra, I'm a first time viewer and I needed to hear that. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Myra. When I can catch you live, when I can catch Mary Grace live, it's so uplifting and calming. Out of all the social media, Mary Grace is, well, the best. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you, Mary Grace. God bless you. God bless you. I appreciate that. Um, that's very nice. Okay, thank you. All right, let me talk about Truth Social for a minute. So I don't know if you guys saw that President Trump put up his first post yesterday on social media, on Truth Social, and it was screenshotted and shared on other social media. And people have been asking, where can I go? How can I get it? There is a website, truthsocial.com, where you can go and sign up for the initial, you can get on the list. Now, I think that also opens you up to all those texts and emails. So use your third best email address, that you don't mind getting spam at, because yeah, just be aware of that. But there's also, you can pre-purchase, it's not even a purchase, but you can pre-download the app in the Apple App Store. I don't know about I don't know about the Android, because I don't use an Android. But what I wanted to say is this is amazing because I think that from everything I'm seeing, I've been telling you guys, okay, Delia says that she's not getting spammed. Okay, that's good to know because I felt like I got spammed like crazy when I signed up. Maybe they took our, maybe they listened to us and stopped that. Um, but what I was going to say is there's something going on. Truth Social is more than just an app that is going to replace Twitter. I think you guys might have figured that out by now, but I'm getting pretty excited because what I think is happening is that I think we're actually I think the Truth Social network, the Trump Media Group, I think that we're actually um, taking back our sovereignty and communication and the airwaves. I'll get more detailed on that later. Oh, hey, Franklin, I haven't seen you in a long time. Um, but this is important. It's bigger than I think most people realize. Because one of the things that President Trump said when he gave his inauguration speech is that this inauguration was unlike any other. That he was giving the power. He said, "We are here to return the power to the people." And one of the most egregious things that the left has done is to cancel people from public discourse. I mean, my big Twitter account was taken down. I've already had strikes on YouTube. These people are exerting a control over communication and the public discourse that is really it's beyond the level of differing opinions. We all know that. I mean, the truth is they want us dead. Let's just be real about that. I mean, the way that they're trying to cancel Joe Rogan, a lot of these people would actually be just fine with would be just fine with him being taken out. That's not an exaggeration. And so anybody who's been following this and who has an idea of how this whole thing is playing out, you have to know that Truth Social is going to do way more than just give somebody another platform to communicate on. Because if Truth Social is simply another app, um, if Truth Social is simply another app, then why do it? Because we've already seen what the big tech overlords can do. They can shut down servers, they can hack, they can deny service, they can do DDoS attacks, all of that. And, and so, even if you have your own servers, there's the Internet of Things that is controlled by certain entities. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've been reading about this. It's kind of like, very techy what's going on. But the bottom line is, I really think that what's happening with True Social a is a breaking away of the way that the internet has worked up until now, the way that communications have worked up until now. And I have a level of excitement about this that I can't even express because I know in my knower that it's going to be groundbreaking isn't even a big enough of a word. It's going to be extraordinary, and it's going to be not just another version of what we're doing on the internet. It's going to be completely other. Does that make sense? It's, in other words, the whole foundation of communications is going to change. And like one example I'll give you this is that um, people who don't like um, Microsoft operating systems, the PC platform, it's because the foundation of those computers was never ever perfected. And every time they come up with a new operating system in that um, computing environment, it's always sitting on the flawed foundation of the original. I think it's called DOS. The computer people would understand that. But the reason that the new operating systems are always inherently flawed is because they never ever actually like scrapped it and rebuilt. And so like a lot of people who are very seriously into computing prefer platforms like Linux. I think you say it Linux. And there's I don't understand all of the ins and outs of that, but I know that the foundation is key. And so what I think is happening here is that Trump's media group is they're not taking the internet as we know it and building on that. I think that they are um, building on a completely other platform, and that it has to do with satellites and communications via satellite. And so it's not going to be dependent on the globalists who have monopolized the communication systems that we know of today. That's what I think is happening, based on what I've been reading and based on what I can understand from a technical standpoint in this area. Some of you may understand that more deeply because that may be your area of expertise, but I'm here to tell you that I think this is going to be a bigger and better thing than people actually realize, and that it's going to have far-reaching implications beyond just being able to log into an app and chat with your friends. That's what I think is going on here. So just putting that out there, and this is why it's such a big deal. This is why it's being attacked so hard. Okay. Um, all right. I'm just reading your comments here. Delsim, somebody said. I'll try that. Okay. Somebody said, I wish I had bought stock in Truth Social. So let me just tell you about that. So Truth Social specifically doesn't have stock. It has but it's in a SPAC, SPAC, known as DWAC, Digital World Acquisition Corporation, and that's the initials. So when you go to buy it, I'm putting it in the chat here. Um, it's when you go to purchase the stock, that's what you're looking for. There's it's DWAC. So the people who bought in early obviously got the best price. However, I believe that it's going to go up even more. So I don't think it's actually too late. I think that, obviously people won't be able to buy as many shares as they would have been when it was first announced. But I think that if you're paying attention and you put in a limit order, for example, and say, I want to buy this when it goes under X dollar amount, I want to buy as much as I can. I have this much to spend, and uh, you know, I want you to spend this much when it goes under this amount. You'd be surprised at what you're able to acquire. And it's not that difficult to do that if you open an account like with Fidelity Investments or something like that. So don't give up on that. I would pursue it. This is not financial advice, but I know people who have bought at a higher price than the initial offering, and they still made thousands of dollars because it went way up after they bought the dip. That's just, that's what I've noticed that people have been able to do. And again, I'm not telling you what to do financially. I'm telling you what I've seen other people do, and they've actually made money, even though they didn't get in on the lowest part. And I think everything that I see um, is that I think it's going to go up even more. So I think that if people were to buy it at whatever it is now, I think it's been trading over 80. Um, that that I think that there's money to be made. Um, the other thing that I think is going to happen is I think that I think as the truth comes out about these okay, right now it's trading at 84, 84. Um, I think that as the truth comes out about the Jabberwockies, I think that those stocks are going to tank. They've already lost a lot of value. And so um, people who make a decision to short those stocks may actually end up eh, really doing really well. Again, not financial advice. um, just I read things and I listen to things, and you can too. And you can make a decision about whether you think it's too late. Okay. All right. So I want to thank my moderators for being here today. I want to thank Delia for being here and doing the notes. I usually put the notes in the description box on YouTube, and so that's where you can find it. It's really just for going back and finding topics that I talked about during a show. All right. And so that's a great service that she provides. I really, really appreciate it. She takes the notes as I talk, and that's not always easy because I go from topic to topic. So it's an amazing service. Um, and otherwise, I would have to go back and listen again to my show and take notes. So I appreciate that. Um, and and then, but, I am not going to be on YouTube forever. Please make sure you're following my Clout Hub channel, channel 111. And please make sure that you're following my Rumble, Mary Grace Media. Follow those two channels so that when I make the move, um, I'm off of YouTube, that you're not stuck trying to figure out where to find me. And then also follow my Telegram, which is Mary Grace Media Official. Now, tomorrow, I normally come on in the afternoons. I have a lot of conflicts tomorrow, and it's not going to work for me to do that. There's a chance that I can come on tomorrow night, so just watch your notifications. Watch your notifications, and then I'll if I come on, you'll see the notifications. Okay. Uh, what was that? Delia said, "Am I going to Ohio?" I'm not going to Ohio. I was thinking of going to Ohio, but it didn't work out, and I decided to wait and go. Probably going to go to some other ones. There's going to be one in Virginia, I think, in June. Yay! And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that's it for now. I'm going to sign off. Look for me tomorrow, but not during the day. And if anything, if nothing else, I'll be back Monday at 1 Eastern for sure. So thank you again, everybody, for being here. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend if I don't see you tomorrow. And just, keep praying, keep checking out the content from the convoys, and find out how you can take part in the convoys that are happening in the US, whether it's providing goods, going to the rally points, standing on the side, on the highways, going to the overpasses, whatever it is. Um, the truckers have expressed um, how much they love seeing the people cheering them on. So that's no small thing. Okay. Uh, okay. I think that's it. I will be back. Thanks again for your comments. I appreciate all of the interaction. And don't forget to like, share, hit the thumbs up. And when you come back for the replay, please leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.